Guys, welcome to Fish Hook. I'm Charles. You got a new face here with me today. This is my good buddy, Doug. He is a longtime friend, a brother in the Lord, and a hunting buddy, and we share the same disease. Yeah. Well, I've been talking a lot about doing some reviews. We're moving into the hunting arena now that it's wintertime, and backpacking and all the good outdoor activities that go with it. So today is going to be our very first video, and what better way to introduce it than with a couple of brand new TC Compass Thompson Center. Right, Compass 2. This is the first time I've had this brand of rifle. Doug bought a 30-06. I got a 300 Win Mag, and they're packed with features. I'm going to let Doug talk about that, and we're going to get started.
All right. Well, hey, I'm glad to be here with you all. Charles, thanks for having me. We're going to talk about the Compass. We just got these in. Obviously, mine is already unboxed. We're going to unbox Charles's right now. So when you open up the box, there's a few things that it came with. We bought the scopes that come with it. The Vortex scope. This is their higher end scope. I have the same one. We're going to show you how to mount that as well. We've got scope rings. Scope rings are important. That's how you mount that. Charles went ahead and got the muzzle brake for the end of his because shooting the 300 Win Mag, I have a 300 Win Mag over here that I've used for years, and it has a little bit of a bite to it. So the muzzle brake takes about 30% of that kick out of the weapon, as well as reduce a little bit of shock on the shoulder. So this is then the rifle. I'll go ahead and pull that out. And down in the bottom there, Charles, in the bottom left of that box is going to be the bolt.
Yeah, right here.
So we take this off.
By the way, guys, we bought these Thompson Centers from Kentucky Gun Company.
Yeah.
They really had a tremendous sale, and everybody's looking for a bargain. Where are you going to get something packed with so many features? My total gun with my scope, this is a Vortex Diamondback scope, which is their upper end. I have, everything I have is Vortex. This is a 416-44 scope, really nice. 3 adjustments on it for your windage and your elevation and your parallax. Very, very nice scope. We're gonna mount it on there with loop. They gave us loop hold, and the muzzle brake was $74.99. This is, they call this Mammoth. This is a proprietary one. Kentucky Gun Company had this made for them. They did a video on it, and I was really surprised at the amount of reduction in the recoil.
Well, there's a lot of reviews on this weapon that are out there. I've viewed a bunch of them. I did a lot of research before I went ahead and pulled the trigger. All right, so just a couple things overview. Of course, your magazine. Magazine on the bottom is the rotating style, so it's great. Easy in. It's not oversized, but it's an easy to get to. Bolt, 60-degree bolt on there, so you don't have to. You're not going to be hitting the scope whenever you do that. The safety on this is more like the Winchester style safety as opposed to slide here. It's just a thumb safety there. It's a great weapon to pull the weapon apart. Obviously, you're going to pull your bolt up, pull the bolt back, press your release, and the bolt should come right out. There we go. Bolt slides right out. One of the things we're going to do is, because these are both brand new, we're going to clean them first because they come with the packing grease on there, so they're a little, they're not dirty, but a little thicker grease, and we want to make sure that everything is cleaned and ready to go. Then we're going to come back and we'll mount these scopes. But that's going to be our first thing. Once you get the firearm unpacked, go through it, clean it, make sure that it's all ready to go, and
we'll get it nice and fluid.
Yeah, lube it up.
Right.
So,
and we're not sponsored by anybody.
That's right.
This is my hard-earned money, Doug's hard-earned money, and we're going to be putting the next coming video will be, once we set this up, we'll show you how to set up. We'll do another video on mounting scopes and putting all the stuff on it. Then we're going to go out to a range and we're going to shoot it and test it, because the guarantee is 1-inch MOA at 100 yards.
Yep.
We're going to see how true it is. I've seen a lot of videos on it. I was so impressed the price was half of anything comparable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for that, that's a big disparaging difference. You can't go wrong for a 541 was the package for that.
Right.
I just opted for a muzzle. Otherwise, I would have been 541.
And again, 541 also included the higher end
A
scope.
Diamondback scope.
Yeah.
So if you're new to hunting, if you want a deal, check out Kentucky Gun Company. And again, we're not sponsored by Kentucky Gun Company.
Right.
This is from us. We are going to talk very candid.
Yeah.
There's some things we're going to give you a thumb down, but only after we test it out. I'm going to give you hardcore results.
Now, I am, Charles said he had never owned the Thompson Center before.
Right.
I have owned Thompson Center firearms before. Never one of the rifles, but owned the Thompson Center contenders before, and I've always been impressed with Thompson Center. They've been around for a while. They're a quality firearm maker. Again, every review that I've read on this thing, they were very impressed and pleased with the results of it. All right, guys, we've got the rifle broke down, ready to clean. And by breaking down, we're not pulling everything all out of the stock and doing all that, but we got the bolt out of the rifle, and we're going to do a little time just cleaning. Again, not sponsored by anyone, that we're not getting any kickback. It's just my preference. I like frog lube, solvents, grease, and the lubrication. So I'm going to use a little bit of the solvent right now and just wipe down everything. We're going to wipe down the bolt. We're going to wipe down the barrel of the rifle. We're going to run a bore snake down there, and we'll run the bore snake not with the solvent, but we'll run that with the lube. And that should get the rifle cleaned and ready to go. But we just want to make sure that everything is set. So that's what we're going to do right now. Again, just a little solvent, and we're going to wipe down the bolt. And you can see just that little bit there. There's just some dirt and grease is what's coming off. It's normal. The rifle has not been used, has not been to the range, but it's the packing grease. It's the stuff that's on there to keep it from rusting, because they don't know how long they're going to sit on the shelf. Although right now,
They're hotcake. They're going off the shelf.
there's nothing is sitting in firearm stores right now. Record sales all across the nation. So, which is a good thing for the firearm industry. It's a good thing for, I think, for the American citizen to be armed. I think it's a good thing. That's my personal belief.
And it's your Second Amendment.
It is, well, that's one of the reasons that I believe that. That is one of the reasons that I believe that.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wipe this down with the solvent. Next, and you can see from a white patch, to a pretty dirty patch. Nothing gross, but it's definitely had some grease on there. Again, I'm going to take some of the frog lube. I'm going to do the same thing, and just a little bit of frog lube actually goes a long way. That's too much, but take the frog lube now, and I'm going to wipe everything down just a little bit with that. All the surfaces, make sure that is good. Then I will show you. I'll use a little bit of the grease on there as well on the riding points. And the thing about the frog lube is it impregnates into the metal. So the more you use it, the greasier it gets, the better it gets. Now, one of the things that people don't like about the frog lube is that over time it builds up. Well, it's real easy. If it builds up, you use the solvent and take it off. I haven't had any issue, and I've been using that now for a number of years. Gosh, I don't know how many years. A number of years I've used it, and I use it in my handguns, I use it in my automatic or semi-automatic weapons, I use it on everything.
Well, when you find something that works, you stick with it.
That's it, and I've been very, very happy with it. So we've wiped the bolt down, it's in good shape now. We're going to do the same thing just in the receiving end of the weapon. We're going to wipe down the receiver best I can with my thumb, and get all these area back in here. We're just going to, like I said, we're just going to wipe down everything.
That's the way you should do all your weapons.
My son, you know Colton, my son bought a real nice 30-30 about a month ago. And he went out and shot it right away, and he thought, hey, I'll clean this a little bit later. And so he stuck the firearm in the garage. It was in the case, but he stuck it in the garage. Our garage is not heated or air conditioned.
Oh boy.
So he went out the other day and he thought, I need to clean this weapon. And he pulled the weapon out of the case, and it had a light layer of surface rust covering the entire weapon.
No, man.
Something again. Talking about the weapon, the Thompson Center, these compasses do have a free-floating barrel. So I take the patch, I just do this with it. I get underneath the barrel and I can slide all the way in, and that gets the grease all the way up underneath the barrel as well. So everything is with the lube all the way in there. So everything looks good on the outside here. We're done pretty much with the lube. I'm going to take the grease. I'm actually going to wipe my fingers off just a minute. But I'm going to take the grease and just do the points on the bolt that have the contact, the locking points, the locking lugs, which is these. You have 3 locking lugs that locks in, so that when the firearm goes off, there is no issue of the bolt coming out. So I just use a little bit there, and again, this is way more than what is necessary. But first time using it on this weapon, it won't hurt anything. And then I'm going to put a little bit here because this is a sliding point. And this flat is another area that it needs it. So those
are all
areas,
points of contact.
They are. Those are all the points of contact. And then I'm just going to take the paper towel. I'm just going to blot it. I'm not wiping it off, but I'm just blotting it. There's still, you can feel there's still. I mean, it's plenty slick.
Mm-hmm.
It's plenty slick. So there's that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of the frog loop. I'm just going to put a little bit on this on the bore snake, and I'm going to run this down the barrel, and it works real well. I'll throw this up like this. And guys, there's some people that really prefer the bore snakes. There's some people that prefer the older style, the rods, clean rods.
Oh yeah, both styles.
You can use whatever you like. I just like the bore snakes. I think, man, that's just slick. You run it through about 3 times. It's got the brush. If you're not familiar with it, you put a little bit of the lube or you're cleaning the solvent up on the upper portion. Then there's a brush part here. It's impregnated or it's made into there, and then this portion of the snake just dries it and wipes it clean. So you run this through about 3 or 4 times on a clean firearm, and you're ready to go. On a dirty firearm, you might have to run it through there 6 times. You know, if you're at the range or after you've been shooting, run it through about 6 times, and man, you've got a clean weapon.
Well, you got a lot of moving parts in a rifle, and you don't want anything to obscure or get in the way of a shot, especially a shot of a lifetime.
That's right.
That's not the time to find out. Oops,
something is wrong. That's right.
Exactly.
I have a old 22 that belonged to my grandfather, and I mean it's old. And I was looking at that one time, and I realized that at the end of the barrel, there's a little bulge in the barrel.
Oh wow!
And little bulge in the barrel, and so I was talking to my grandfather before he passed, and I asked him what happened. He said he tripped one time while he was out hunting, and he caught the end of the barrel, caught him, he fell, and the end of the barrel got a little mud in it. Well, then he saw a squirrel. He was squirrel hunting. He saw a squirrel and he shot the squirrel. Well, it did. It still, everything worked, but it did damage the weapon. It put something there. So you know, little things like that you learn over time. You never take anything for granted with a firearm. When I pick up a firearm, the first rule of firearm safety is always assume the weapon is loaded.
Absolutely.
The weapon is always loaded, so you treat every firearm as if it's loaded. If you do that, you're going to reduce any accidents. If you treat the weapon as if it's correct, if you treat every firearm as if it's loaded, you're you're ahead of the game. And that's really the first rule of any kind of gun safety. It doesn't matter if it's a rifle, it doesn't matter if it's a pistol, doesn't matter what it is. You treat every weapon as if it's loaded. You do that, you're on your way to a good safe start. Okay, I've got everything wiped down. You can look through here. Man, the bore looks nice and clean. My bolt is lubed up. I'm ready to put this back together. This goes in, boom, now we're good to go. A lot more fluid, safety, everything feels good. Safety is a little stiff on this. I would prefer a little looser, but that would be my one thing that I would say right out of the box, literally, right out of the box. That's one thing I would say is safety could be a little looser, but it's ready to go. So our next step, Charles, I think we're ready to mount a scope.
Absolutely, absolutely. We will have in the links below all the information on the type of lubes that we're using, that bore cleaner. I'll have everything at the end of the video for you. You guys, if you guys want to, it helps the channel. You can go to Amazon, the links will be there if you needed it, if you want this particular brand or not. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is a very, very nice weapon. Very nice, 30-06, probably the most famous rifle in the
Caliber.
history. Yeah. Caliber.
30-30 and 30-06 are probably the standards. And oddly enough, of all the weapons that I have, I did not have a 30-06. I have 30-30s, I have 300 Savage, I have 300 Win Mag, I've got 300 Blackout. I've got a lot of weapons, but I've never owned a 30-06. So moving down to Tennessee from Alaska, it was time. I've been here about 7 years, and it was time. I needed to get the 30-06 and join the rest of the world.
You'll notice too, guys, this is a really nice pliable rubber, thick, probably close to 3/4 inch thick. You need it, maybe not so much with a 30-06, but the recoil like on a 300 and greater. I have an 8mm too and a 45-70. This is what you need. Something heavy duty to brace your shoulder.
Nice buttstock.
Now this is a nice gun. I think empty it weighs just under 8 pounds, and then with the scope maybe add another 1.5 pounds or so.
Yeah,
So maybe about 9 pounds or
about
so.
a pound and a half for the scope, and then I bought a sling for mine as well. So
Now they said that this is generation 2 trigger. Don't know yet until we we'll see if it has any creep. I don't have a measuring thing to do the poundage, but they say it's supposed to be 3.5 to 5 pounds is the adjustment. We'll get into that if we need to. It comes with some scope bases here, which it's really ready to go. All you need is put a scope on here. You got everything. Which is nice, a threaded 5/8 24 thread, which is really nice to come. You don't have to pay a gunsmith a nice little pretty penny to have it threaded. And on mine, I'm putting the muzzle brake because it's a 300 Win Mag.
So you're talking about the trigger and the Generation 2 trigger. So one of the things that's different about the Generation 2 trigger is the 2-stage trigger. 2-stage is not the right word, but it cannot, there's no way for this, it's a safety. If I grab this or if I fall, there's no way for this, right now the safety is not on, but I cannot pull the trigger no matter what I do. In order to pull the trigger, I have to have my finger on the trigger, and then that presses this little, I can't do it from that angle. All right, Charles, you were just talking about the Generation 2 trigger, and one of the features with the trigger on here is actually safety. So if you take a look at this trigger, you cannot pull the trigger unless you're pressing down on this center portion as well. So it's just a safety. I don't have the safety of the weapon on, but it's a second safety in there. So if you catch on something, it can't go off. In order to make that go off, my finger has to be on and I'm going to do this now. So just safety, we've double checked. We have never put a round in the weapon, but we know it is empty. There's nothing in the magazine. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull the magazine out just for the safety aspect. You ought to treat everything that way. So at this point, again, this trigger cannot be pulled unless this center portion is pulled. At that point, I'm going to press there. Now the trigger is live, and Doesn't take much. I would say probably 3 pounds, 3¼ pounds.
Now, you've had the original Thompson, I haven't.
Yeah.
How does this trigger feel compared to that one? They said there was a lot of issues with that trigger.
Well, I didn't have the Thompson rifle. I had a Thompson Center Contender, which is a completely different weapon. But again, Thompson Center has been around for a long time, so I've never owned one of their rifles. I owned the Thompson Center Contender. Mm-hmm. What the Contender, for those of you that are not familiar with it, what the Contender is a handgun, but you can put it's interchangeable barrels. You can make different calibers on that. You can change the caliber just by replacing the different barrels.
All right.
So,
well, guys, that about wraps it up today. I hope you got a good idea of the compass. Their offering is from $243 right now up to 300 Win Mag, and they said later in the fall they're coming out with a 338 Magnum. So for you guys that really want the real big bore, so that's the next one that is going to be in production. Overall, the gun looks solid. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, right now, just the setup, getting it cleaned out, impressed with the way that it's put together. Again, the only negative that I see right now is, and that's personal preference, I think the trigger is just, or not the trigger, but the safety is a little stiff. But we're going to mount up the scope later on, and then we'll take it out to the range, and we'll do another video out there, and we'll kind of see how they perform.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. Bottom line is, no matter what gun you buy, whether Thompson, Winchester, Remington, Henry, there's pros and there are cons. And a lot of it is very objective. Very subjective, rather. I might like something that he doesn't like. So
personal preference.
Personal preferences. You have to give room for that. That's not a knock against the gun. All my guns I have personal preferences on each one. They could always be a little bit different, but I'm not going to get a gun perfectly tailored to my needs. I'll do as much as I can, and then after that, you make the best out of it. And the bottom line is, we're hunting. We got a target. It's a deer. It's a buffalo. It's a bear. You want to get it, and that's the prize. That's all of this is for that end. But if you guys are just target shooting, your end is the target. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. We had a blast doing this. We'll have everything listed in the links below as far as where we got the gun from. We'll give the credit to Kentucky Gun Company and all our options as we bought them, the 300 and the 30-06. So guys, we'll see you on the next one, and we'll be loading up a scope on Doug's gun. We're going to use his as the guinea pig, and we're going to put a scope on his, and we'll walk you through step by step the proper procedure of putting a scope on. We'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and post a like. Likes mean a lot. That's how the channel makes money. And if you got any comments, pros or cons, guys, we'd love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next one.